Module Overview. This module dives deep into the psychological and psychometric foundations of personality and motivation as they relate to artistic expression and creative behavior. It examines the intersections between stable personality traits, intrinsic and extrinsic motivational drives, and the creative process. It also maps the contours of the artistic personality, explores the links between temperament and divergent thinking, and investigates how motivational dynamics sustain or hinder long-term creative production. Drawing on the five-factor model of personality, Big Five, Jungian typology, Maslow's hierarchy, self-determination theory, achievement goal theory, and existential-psychodynamic perspectives, this module provides you with a multidimensional understanding of what compels individuals to make art and what psychological characteristics define those who persist in creative careers or pursuits.
The module explores not only who becomes an artist, but also why they create, how they stay motivated, and what inner conflicts drive fuel or block creative actualization. It goes beyond talent and skill to examine psychological capital, ego strength, flow readiness, and creative grit, all essential for the emergence of powerful and transformative artistic work.
Key themes and components. First, the artistic personality, myths and realities. Dissecting the stereotype of the tortured artist, bohemian rebel, or genius eccentric. Empirical studies show that creative individuals often score high in openness to experience, intuition, N, on MBTI scales introversion or ambiversion, high sensitivity and aesthetic appreciation. However, variations exist across domains, visual arts, music, literature, design, and cultures. The Big Five personality traits and creativity. Openness to experience, most consistently correlated with creativity, involves imagination, curiosity, abstract thinking, and aesthetic sensitivity. Conscientiousness may correlate inversely with spontaneous creativity but positively with artistic productivity and discipline. Extroversion, linked with performance-based creativity, e.g. theater, while introversion aligns with contemplative arts, e.g. painting, poetry. Agreeableness and neuroticism show variable relationships, with neurotic tendencies sometimes linked to emotional intensity and deep introspection in art. Intrinsic versus extrinsic motivation in artistic endeavors. Intrinsic motivation, creativity driven by love of the process, emotional expression, exploration, play, and personal meaning. Extrinsic motivation, driven by recognition, awards, financial gain, competition, and social validation. Intrinsically motivated creators tend to take more creative risks, while extrinsically motivated artists may conform to audience expectations. Over-justification effect. External rewards may diminish intrinsic creative drive. Self-determination theory, SDT, and creative autonomy. Based on the need for autonomy, freedom to create, competence, feeling effective, relatedness, connection to others. SDT suggests creative fulfillment arises when these needs are met in one's artistic life. Autonomous motivation fosters deeper creative exploration and higher originality. Maslow's hierarchy and creative self-actualization. Maslow placed creativity at the apex of self-actualization, as a form of psychological wholeness and existential transcendence. He distinguished between primary creativity, spontaneous, childlike; secondary creativity, more disciplined and refined; self-transcending creativity, e.g., visionary or mystical artistry. Jungian archetypes and the creative psyche. The artist, rebel, sage, and magician as core archetypes found in creative individuals. The creative process as a form of individuation. Journey towards psychic integration and wholeness. Creativity is seen as a dialogue between ego and unconscious, symbol and instinct, dream and meaning. Achievement goals and creative grit. Mastery-oriented artists focus on improving skills, innovating, and personal growth. Performance-oriented artists, driven by outperforming others, gaining fame. Creative grit, long-term perseverance in the face of rejection, market failure, or creative blocks. Grit is especially vital for navigating artistic careers, which often involve delayed success, solitude, and emotional labor. Flow, passion, and purpose in creative life. Flow theory, Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi. Optimal creative experience is deeply engaging, timeless, and intrinsically fulfilling. Harmonious passion versus obsessive passion. The former supports well-being. The latter may lead to burnout or creative collapse. Having a creative purpose, social change, emotional healing, spiritual mission sustains artists during difficult periods.
Existential drivers of artistic expression. Artistic expression often rooted in existential needs: to be seen, to matter, to resist death, to shape meaning. Art as a confrontation with mortality, alienation. Suffering, identity. Creativity becomes a life-affirming and sometimes therapeutic act in the face of an unpredictable world.
Artistic burnout, block, and recovery. Causes of creative burnout. Over-identification with output, perfectionism, fear of failure, commercialization of art. Psychological strategies for recovery. Inner child reconnection, play therapy, reframing failure as feedback. Changing the creative environment. Recognizing when a break, shift, or transformation in identity is needed for long-term psychological well-being. Learning objectives. By the end of this module, you will be able to analyze the role of key personality traits in creative expression, distinguish between intrinsic and extrinsic motivators in artistic practices, apply psychological theories of motivation, e.g., self-determination theory, Maslow flow, to artistic behavior. Understand the psychological architecture of the artistic mind. Assess how personal temperament influences creative risk, discipline, and style.